Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to the latest episodes of Masters in Machines. I am your host, Balaji Reddy, again, and I'm thrilled to be diving into the world of robotics with you today. This series is about exploring the incredible opportunities in shaping the future, and who better to guide us than the minds shaping the future right now? Today, we are welcoming one of the visionary minds who has stepped beyond the conventional world of engineering and sciences and technology to take a deep dive into robotics himself. The All the innovators and founders that we will be covering in this series will be spilling beans on their entrepreneurial adventures and the cutting edge tech that they've been developing and the challenges that they have faced in turning their dreams to reality. Prepared to be inspired by their audacity and their contagious spirit towards innovation. If you are a robotics enthusiast, a tech savvy student, or simply someone who's fascinated by the future, get ready for an electrifying ride, and we'll be dwelling into the latest advancements and discussing the ethical considerations, or maybe even getting a glimpse of the robots that might one day walk with us. Today, we have Ganesh Ganesh Kakumanu
Yeah.
with
Hi.
us, who is present here. Who he's a robotics engineer, and let us hear from him on what does he do and how he has been making his wave in this large field of ocean. Hi Ganesh, good evening. How are you doing?
Yeah. Hi, Balaji. So I'm good. Hope you're doing good.
I'm
So
doing yeah,
yeah,
I'm doing great, Ganesh. So just a small introduction for all our viewers. So could you share what do you do? How are you uh, associated in the field of robotics? What do you do? What is better to hear? Which is the
yeah,
better option? It is to hear from you on what you do and what you've been up to.
yeah. So a small intro about myself is like I did my BTech in ECE, Electronics and Communication. After that, right now I'm working as a robotics engineer in Torus Robotics, Chennai. It's been 1.5 year. Mostly this June it will be 2 years. And over the course of my engineering, I was like really fascinated about how the electronics in the robotics works, the embedded stuff and all. So started making few projects in the initial days of my first year. Later, having to work with the IoT stuff, the NFC, RFIDs, all this like driven me like, yeah, there is scope for embedded systems in India. So later I discovered something called as ROS, which like actually opened my mind and like it changed my way of thinking, like how the traditional robotics used to be and like what is the modern robotics right now. So I started working on ROS in my second year. Like from then onwards, I was like more towards the hardware stuff. I mean, like integrating the ROS and the hardware stuff. Not primarily on the software, but rather the embedded part of it, like interfacing drivers and all. So, and I didn't go like to the driver level. Like mine is always the upper level, upper stack. Later, like in my second year, like the very last moment, like the COVID hit, and like everything is like online, and like we had a good time to explore the field more in depth of robotics and like the autonomy, I would say. So by doing so, like I had few projects on like autonomy and like the lidar based navigation, the camera based vision navigation, etc. So there later I discovered a company called as Torus, which is actually incubated in my campus, who are our super seniors. Like they started a company which was into defense at that moment. I was like really fascinated, like the Chennai startup, that too from my university, had a really good robotics startup, and like why don't we have a internship with them? So I went and approached them, and like I showed my projects, like the mini quadrupeds which I made them to them, and like all the ROS projects which I have dealt previously. Then they liked it, and like they gave me an internship. So the actual hardware stuff, whatever we do in college or like the Arduinos, are not the primarily thing which is used in the industry. I got to know about that. So later I got to work on STM chips, STM microcontrollers, and basically writing the firmware and like interfacing with ROS and everything. Later, I got my hands on into more of embedded hardware stuff, which is actually like I felt like it's a very important topic in the robotics. Like people usually concentrate on the software, much of it ROS and everything, but underlying to make
True.
your robot get its life, the hardware is the one which actually required, and like you need to know how to interface that with the upper level stack. So yeah, my day-to-day job is like making there is a little transition in my company. So a year before we are like totally into defense UGVs and like all the stuff. And from
Hmm.
the last 1 year or like 6 months, I would say we are like more concentrating on the EV stuff.
That's great.
Axial flux motors, we are currently in development, and associated controllers for that. So my domain, it's in the controllers for robotics. So we are making an FOC driven motor controllers where eventually everything comes to the point of integrating with ROS and stuff.
That's really exciting, Ganesh. Like listening to it is like a dream come true for me. I have completed my robotics engineering from my university,
Oh,
but we never got some great super seniors like yours. So we were kind of the initial batches, so we never got to experience. And now listening to how you have transitioned from embedded systems to software, then back to hardware, then again getting your hands on an embedded, working with defense, and now coming down to EV, which is kind of what is the future. It is really inspiring to hear that from you. And yeah, so now coming into the initial steps on, could you share like what was your first inspiration? Like, do you have a mentor or an inspiration that really drove you towards technology, not just robotics, just technology?
yeah, actually, uh, this might be like something like, I don't know, like people like we started working even before engineering.
Mhm.
So like we had a hands-on with little embedded like the embedded circuits and everything prior to the engineering, and like and then I was decided like even from my 12th 11th grade I was like I want to pursue in electronics because I ultimately want to end up in robotics.
Mhm.
So I just shorted like, okay, what are the opportunities for electronics, software, mechanical, where my niche aligns with the electronics, and like I went ahead with ECE. And as you know, like Indian colleges doesn't provide you a good curriculum to
Agree.
expose to the modern electronics or the modern day-to-day requirements. We still had to do a lot of VLSI and like all the other stuff which we don't want to get our hands on, but rather
Agree.
uh, the main niche field. But yeah, it was a good starter. Like it made us to know what the previous technology is and like what currently the industry needs, like all the problems which are like yet to be solved. So during my engineering, I would say like I did prepare myself with a pathway to the robotics. Like I worked with a professor in my second year. Like we wrote a paper, research paper on it. Like it's about an IoT project. It's like initially when the COVID hit, like we had all the pulse oximeters and like the oxygen levels, everything. So I just wanted to get my hands on into IoT and like started working on a project uh, of a pulse oximeter, but which is connected to a web where all your details, like the patient details, everything goes to the web, and like it'll ultimately reach to your family doctor and everything. So that actually made me to think like, okay, there is a lot of scope in IoT as well as robotics. Why don't we make this a little upscale and low cost? So optimizing the hardware and coding, like it actually like made me to think like, yeah, there is a scope for embedded in India, as well as like if we could take it to the next level, like experience what I gained with the IoT and embedded into robotics, it'll be a game changer. So uh, later I got a concession of 500 USD for publishing my paper in the journal Hardware X. It's a scientific journal paper. So later,
Okay.
I went and like met my HOD. So she was having a funded lab in my university. I'm from SRM University, Chennai.
Okay.
So there, like I met one of the PhD scholars, where the current work he's doing, doing right now inspired me. Like it's the underwater research he's doing on, and like localization of objects underwater and everything. So I just had few conversation with that guy, and like I thought like, okay, maybe we can try and experiment like few other algorithms and like few other stuff like what he can improve. So there we made a small research paper again. It's basically ROS based feature mapping and object identification with YOLO and correction with RTAB mapping for the localization and SLAM stuff. That got published in IEEE Explorer. So likewise, I was like more interested to the research as well as the hands-on projects. So I didn't limit myself to just projects, but rather, what do you say, creating a document of it and like publishing.
Alright.
Uh, and yeah, later
Yeah.
the Torus happened, and like that's where like got like the access to most of the hardware stuff. I mean, like really, really cool hardware stuff. I can't go more details, but it's
Yeah. Yeah.
actually quite a good stuff. Like I don't know, I could have not got these hands-on experiences elsewhere, like apart from Taurus.
That's really inspiring. And first of all, I would like to congratulate on all the accolades that you have earned throughout your journey. It's really
Yeah, thank
inspiring,
you.
even for me, coming it from me, because my robotics journey started with looking at APJ Abdul Kalam sir as an aerospace engineer. That is what I aspired to be. Post my graduation, when we had to go for an internship, I worked with 3D printing and working with
No, great,
aerospace and tech. We manufactured 3D printers out there, and that's where we also got a little bit of hands-on to work on services for different drones, making additional peripheral devices for them. So that's how my journey has been.
great.
Got one paper published as of now, but not more than that. But your accolades are something really inspiring when you come down to the core field in that uh, defensive manner, in the particular manner. So now, Ganesh, looking at all of that, you had a very, intellectual journey towards robotics. Even during your college years, you worked hard. You put in a lot of effort. Your passion really, puts out. So, how was your journey in SRM? All the 4 years of SRM, apart from all the education, how was your journey? Like, if anyone wants to go to SRM for their engineering, especially not specifically for robotics, for their
Yeah,
engineering,
yeah,
how is their journey?
yeah. So the SRM journey, it's like what I could say, like it's a mixed domain, I would say. Like it's a very great university, I would say. Like coming to a private university, like people expect like no, it's a fun party college and all. But actually, there are labs, there are professors who can help you. If you go and talk to them, like saying like this is your passion and I want to go further in this field, they will definitely help you. And one good thing I got is like I got a good mentor during my second year. Like the initial, like she's actually a professor who went to Carnegie Mellon and like did the research and came back and teaching us. So I, after listening, like, oh, she's from Carnegie Mellon, I have to go and like get a contact with her. I went and spoke like these are my interests and everything. So she encouraged me to do scientific research. I mean, like not just collecting the information, but rather like solving a problem. So that made me like to work with her, and it's a budding stage for any research. I would say like because my first paper I still remember like it's based on a quadruped with a Raspberry Pi and just the inverse kinematics and like just a small quadruped walking. And apparently even that got published in uh, IOC Science journal. But that I would say like That is a very niche topic which I picked in, and like luckily I was like lucky enough to get into 3 rounds and like clear the paper. Later, the actual research started with the professor under like Ruhan Devi. Her name is Ruhan Devi. She's from SRM EC department. So
Okay.
anyone joining EC, definitely go and talk to her and like tell your passion. She'll definitely help you. So later, like it's more like I was from the first day, I was like more into research and I want to continue like in robotics masters in the US, of course. So I was planning for that, and like she actually guided me a lot, and she's the one who told me like all the modern robotics uses ROS, and definitely you have to check that out. So then during the COVID, I started to research about ROS and like make some simulations of autonomous drivings and all whatever I could with the simulation. Uh, and right after the COVID, like in my fourth year starting, I would say like we're back to college, and like then I did the research with the underwater mapping and SLAM. During this time only, like I just got a LinkedIn post from Torus saying like we made a UGV for DRDO, and like we are yet to have like other projects. So I just went and talked to them, and they gave me a task of controlling a BLDC motor, making a small GUI with ROS and everything. So I did that. They liked it and they gave me an internship. It was a, like about 6 months internship where I did a lot of motor related stuff, BLDC motor stuffs. Uh, and yeah, that became my full time. Like I just got an offer in my end of fourth year saying like we have a vacancy and we have a defense project. Would you like to join? So yeah, after joining Taurus, like that's where I got hands on hardware designing, the keycard, like PCB designing, all the ultra complex, what to say,
Yeah.
motor control stuff and all. Uh, so yeah, pretty much that's my engineering uh, journey, I would say. Like, but I would say like whatever your college is, like still you have the scope of learning by your own. I was in a dilemma in my first year that okay, by the time we come to third year or fourth year, we will be knowledgeable enough to get a job or like be in this field. But later I realized like no one right now in the Indian education system, like they're gonna teach you these niche fields. They go and teach you only the generalized what do you say, core electrical electronics job, but not a very special niche field. It's up to you, like
Agreed.
who
Agreed.
have to have the hands-on experience, and like you have to have the networking to connect with people who are working in robotics and like ask them like okay, I want to be here, like how can I be?
Agreed.
So yeah, um, yeah, that's
That's
it.
yeah. That's really great, Ganesh. Listening to how your journey has been in SRM, because a lot of times people do confuse private colleges to not have a great curriculum, or there is a setback compared to the other top tier colleges, even though SRM is tier one college throughout India. But we always have the that preconceived notion that it's only the IITs or NITs or some
Yeah,
research based institutes which are doing the best out there, and the others are just following their curriculum with no proper facilities and faculties. But it is really great to hear that you had a mentor that helped you out through your journey. So now talking a little bit about you. So I did catch that you were planning on doing your masters, but now you're currently full time with Taurus. So any plans
yeah,
on doing your masters even now, or how is
yeah,
it?
yeah. I have plans. Yeah, I have
Mhm.
plans, but I'm not sure about the timeline when I might be going.
Okay, okay.
But yeah, it's the long-term goal, I would say. Like it's in the
That's
pipeline.
that's that's great. So any particular institutes that you feel are really doing great overseas in robotics? Like people should
Yeah,
know
there
about
are.
these universities that
Yeah, yeah.
you
There
generally
are
like.
a handful of universities like Carnegie Mellon, like undoubtedly the number
Agreed.
one robotics institute. Next one, the University of Pennsylvania.
Hmm.
Uh, actually, yeah, I would like to mention this. Like, during my college second year something where I just explored ROS and like seeing,
Mhm.
okay, what is the actual application in the real world? Like who are the people working on ROS and in industry or like in university, or is it just what do you say, hobby stuff? Then I came across this particular course from University of Pennsylvania. It's the course called as F110. It's
Okay.
an actually an autonomous racing. Like they take small tractors rally car, like a small
Okay.
toy car, I would say, and make that autonomous
Mhm. That's
with all the 3D scanning, lidar, like all the depth camera stuff, slam and all. So that actually inspired me. Like, okay, there is a very good potential with what do you say, autonomous driving as well as ROS, as well as what do you say, the electronics, because
electronics.
it's actually from the embedded department, whose club is that, and eventually that became a curriculum. And now I would say like 20 or 30 universities is having this F110 program every year. Like
Okay.
they race across to say many places in USA and like have competitions or this like whose algorithm is better and like faster.
Mhm.
So that that team actually inspired me like even to like start on the autonomy and like what to say, work on it. So UPenn is yeah, another great college, and yeah, there are a handful of Northwestern, Northeastern, WPI, uh, Oregon State University. Like
Mhm.
my niche is like more towards the embedded part of the
Embedded part.
robotics, not like complete AI and ML, because uh, like I had like good experience with the embedded part. So the colleges I told like are good with embedded as well as
Embedded
robotics.
and
So in their
yes.
curriculum you can see like more concentration on the embedded or the hardware part.
Hardware part. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Um.
yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
please, please.
Go.
No, I think those are some great resources for anyone listening to our podcast. Because if anyone is really looking into technology as a field or taking up engineering, it's mostly going ahead for the IT. Like the major creamy layer also goes for the IT departments. The majority of, in fact, more than I could say more than 60 to 70% do it, and there are 30% who are in the core, but they end up living into a millennial situation. But these resources really helped out. And could you share where you pursued this course during your college time? Like how to avail it?
Like which course exactly?
The F1 course that
Oh,
you
it's
mentioned.
actually free. Yeah. I haven't done the course. It's like
Okay,
uh more of like they kept it like an open source. The project is still
okay,
open source, and like
okay.
the
And
curriculum which they did is open source.
how can anyone learn about it? Like where is it available? Is it available on
Yeah, it's
GitHub or
yeah. You can directly type F110. You
okay?
can get it online. Like they have a course or like how to construct a toy car, like how to make that autonomy, and
Okay.
like making the car and like the hardware is like 50 part of it, and the rest
Mhm.
50% is like all the algorithms, like the
Algorithms.
yeah, obstacle avoidance and slam, what to say,
Understood.
high end like digest, like all the fast algorithms.
Great, great. Thank you, Ganesh, for sharing a really interesting project, a really interesting initiative,
Yeah.
and a program that a lot of our listeners, viewers, or anyone that gets a hand of this podcast any time in their life can really try out. And I is something that I'm really excited to look into post our meeting now. And yeah, it was really great listening to, like, you had a very strict syllabus with you. You had very great mentors, great programs that you were enrolled with. Now, talking about a lot of engineers that are coming from tier 2, tier 3 cities, they end up in this same IT cycle, like I was speaking earlier. They end up in this IT cycle. So how can they look for opportunities in the core field? Like if they have taken a core field, or some feel that they've been stuck in a core field because of their marks or because of lack of opportunities, lack of options, in fact, due to some financial reasons or XYZ reasons. How can someone look for opportunities in the core field? Hardware, embedded, even embedded software. or in fact
Yeah.
robotics as a matter?
I would say like there are plenty of free resources available online. Like even I had this what did you say constraint with the
Challenge.
amount, like spending more on
Yeah.
hardware because
Mhm.
if you have to work in hardware, you should have all the dev
Should.
kits, all the hands-on experience with all the electronics embedded boards. So I would say like you can start with the software part first, like the raw simulations and everything, because it's pretty much the same what you do. I mean, like, yeah, there are challenges like when it comes to directly implementing the simulation code in the hardware, but it'll be 80% the same. The 20%
Mhm.
tuning and tweaking you have to do like according to your hardware. So, and I would say like uh, if you decide like going with robotics ahead and like want to make a career of it, you have to understand the initial days you can't earn money much. You should be like little, what do you say, not, I would say, you should keep the money aside and make the knowledge priority. Because like during my college, I never have a thought of working in India. My goal is like to go overseas and like find a job there and like work there. But as the work here like actually, like, what do you say, motivated and inspired me, and like I had a good privileged job, so I feel lucky like to have like connect with them and like working right now on hardware and like robotics and stuff. But it's not the same case for everyone. So I would say like you can, the main thing any robotics engineer or the embedded engineer have to do is like networking. You need to connect with people who are like actually working in the field and like who had like a prior experience to whatever you have. So they'll guide you. They'll definitely guide you. It might be on LinkedIn or like personal connect by just contributing their project in the GitHub and like yeah, there are different number of ways to approach them. So I would say like connect with people, talk to them, know your field, like where you want to go. Like if it's a niche, say you want to end up just being a raw simulation guy, like speak to them. No, it's an embedded guy, speak to them. Know like what is the reality of what do you say, a career path of next 5 years or like next 10 years, whether like is the money important to you or the knowledge, or like okay, if your short-term goal is to get the knowledge and like switch to a regular IT company, I would say like it's a waste of time. So if you're really really passionate about it and like you want to stuck in there, then yeah, you have plenty of opportunities there. And India,
Mhm.
like the electronics, the embedded, and the robotic stuff is a silently developing sector. Like I would
Developing
say, like
sector.
yeah, people not talk much about the robotics and embedded, but there are like very good companies in Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, which give you a really good hands-on experience for your profile to add on. And like later, if you want to pursue masters or PhD, you still have a lot of scope here in India to work prior to your future higher studies. Yeah,
No, that is some really insightful information for everyone. Is that people tend to forget to build their portfolios and start looking for opportunities. And it is at most important when you're building a portfolio is that you should have one focus point, not multiple.
yeah, sure.
Yeah, one focus
Yeah,
point, and when it is coming to core, that focus point shouldn't be finances. You
yeah.
have to somewhere compromise on that part.
I
Currently,
mean,
India's yeah,
yeah,
currently India is in
India's
such a state.
situation, yeah, India's situation right now, like even though you, what do you say, made a operating system all by your own, they'll be taking a data structures and algorithm, and like if you didn't clear that, they'll be like, sorry, this job might not be for you.
Is not.
So
Yeah.
they like it's a loop. What right now it's happening in India, like uh, I mean, like it's a true. I would say like India is more for the workforce. I mean, like there is R&D, but a very silent and like very, what do you say, underlying. I would say you have to go and like find your right job.
To like the world is calling India the capital of workforce, the capital of technology for the
Yeah,
entire world, but it's majorly Like if you ask me, people know it more like a workforce rather than the technological developments that we have provided to the world, like all the science that we have given. So currently, we can't blame we can't blame anyone for this. This is the situation. Like this is a social situation that we are stuck in. That we are the largest democracy. We are the largest. We have the largest
Yeah.
population. So we have the largest workforce. It's proportional. That needs to happen.
We
We
do
should be
we
more.
do have the R&D, like extraordinary
Yeah.
R&D. Like whenever I go to an expo or like
Mhm.
have you been to the Electronica 2023? Like it's in
I
Bangalore,
was
like held in
I
Bangalore.
was not able to. Mhm.
Okay, okay. It's a very good expo, like where I actually got a lot of motivation to be like in this what do you say, in this sector, and as well as I actually missed the ROSCON 2023, which is held in
Mhm.
Bangalore. But I'll be definitely attending the 2020. And one good resource I would say, uh, like if you're starting with the ROS robotics and everything, there is this something called as the Construct.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
they provide a very
The
good
construct
learning
some.
platform. Yeah, the Construct. So they provide a very good what do you say, end-to-end like courses for you. I like took mostly the YouTube free courses, and like it actually helped me a lot. But if you could do like take their yearly subscription or something,
Yep.
it'll definitely help you a lot in like in your robotics journey. And yeah, and it comes to what projects you have done, like what's your experience, like what's the problems you have solved. So ultimately, it comes to that, like to land up in a job or anything. So yeah, pretty much that's
Yeah.
it.
I I've been following construct from my engineering days because it
Yeah.
was the basic course that I did initially that was available for free, which is available for free even now. That if you want to
Okay.
get started with Python and Linux, that is the first course that you can take.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Now they have improved it so much that it has become a 60-40 situation where it's 60% towards robotics, 40% they've introduced AI, computer vision,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is somewhere in between the Venn diagram, in between both, and
Yeah.
that is
They
what people
concentrate more
like.
on more
Yeah,
on the robotic software, like
yes,
uh
agreed. But it's a great resource for anyone to start off. Apart from that, YouTube, there is so much knowledge
yeah.
available now with internet. And post COVID, everyone is experts. Everyone has become an expert in navigating the
Yeah.
internet. First thing,
Yeah.
that is one thing.
True.
We've become an expert. We just don't know where to look. They just don't know that we are an expert
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we should be looking into it. The
Yeah.
other resource that I do follow is RUS World, especially when it comes to design, because
Okay.
that's one resource that I've been following during my 3D during my internship with Aeromech Engineers, which I was a part of, where we built 3D printers, we built portable CNC machines
Oh,
from
good.
scratch, and we were able to construct one humanoid robotic face from Invo, which is
Oh,
an
great.
open source project that we tried, and we were able to construct one part of the arm and the face. We never completed it because 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of things to it, but
Yeah.
it's a very interesting process when you come down to it. The system is so beautiful that you give more time to it. It's not like
Yeah.
you're becoming fed up. You're sitting and you're just
Yeah.
typing a lot of code. You actually see your code working just like you.
Yeah.
Compared to the IT field,
Yeah.
it
That's
is
the best part.
the the code actually does something great that you can't do when it comes to IT, but when it comes to code field, it
Yeah.
is something that it replicates what you're doing. So that is how interesting it is. Now, Ganesh, I wanted to know, now coming down to embedded, a lot of engineering students are out there in electronics, electrical, even mechanical and IT field who are very much interested in embedded systems. Could you
Yeah.
list down a few skills that they should be working on, or
Yeah.
like basic skills, like is it
Yeah.
C sharp or something of that sort
Yeah.
that they
So
should be working on?
when you initially start with embedded, like everyone's go is like go with Arduino. So yeah, in order to work with Arduino, you should know embedded C and C++. But Arduino only helps for the hobbies, I would say.
Yeah,
The industry doesn't use any 8-bit microcontroller most of the cases. They go with the 32-bit controllers
32.
like STM, NXP, or like any other microchip based controllers. So where like coming from using just a predefined library to making everything from scratch is the actual embedded part. Like whatever we did in engineering, like I would say, like it's a good start, but when it comes to the industry and like working everything from scratch, that's where you learn stuff what's happening in the background. So I would say like if you're a starter in embedded, get an ARM-based kit. Like mostly you can go with STM or like any ARM-based microcontrollers and start to code on it. Like see, like try to replicate the same blink LED from an Arduino onto STM32. You will actually know like okay, what's underlying interrupts are, like what is the bare metal coding needed. It's going to be a headache initially writing everything from scratch and everything, but once you are habituated, you'll love the stuff. Like you'll never exit that. And yeah, when coming to the skills, I would say C++ is a must. And like after writing that, like you have to make an application or anything, like Python is the go. I mean, like interfacing with even with the ROS, like you'll be using ROSPy or ROS CPP. So definitely, like these three are like necessary for anyone. You don't want have to be like a very good coder in that. I mean, unless and until you want to make a career in robotics software. For a robotics hardware or robotics electronics guy, like to the pointers level at least, that will be helpful. And like how to access the registers and everything. So you have to be good with C and either of it, like C or C++, either of it, be a good coder in that. And like basic Python is also needed, I would say. Uh, and yeah, everything is like what projects you made or like what did you do in the pre-existing embedded world? Like what is your solution for it? So that what's matter.
Thank you. Thank you, Ganesh, for sharing, like bringing to light some things that people completely ignore during their engineering years. Is that they think whatever they've been doing in their labs or from their curriculum that is sufficient, and somewhere down the line end up disappointed because they just don't focus on the things. Because
Yeah,
let's face the fact, somewhere down the line our education systems are a bit flawed, not completely, are a bit flawed. They stick to something that is still a decade earlier, that was still being used a decade earlier, and not like compared to other countries. What I feel from all the friends that I have that are pursuing their masters out in the overseas, they are focusing on the technology that is going to shape the coming decade.
yeah.
Whereas in India, we are somewhere working on what is available now and what was available 5 years, 6 years down the
Previously,
lane.
yeah, yeah,
6 years down the lane. So I think this is something that people should really bring up to light, because a lot of people are doing Python. So let us, like, if I'm a beginner, I'm seeing a lot of my seniors learning Python. I
yeah,
won't blame the seniors as well, because now they are doing it. So I'm also, no, I'll also start doing,
yeah,
coming down to Python. Now after a while, I get so saturated that I would never think of doing C or C++, because that's what my seniors did,
yeah,
and they are,
yeah,
and then I end up in a completely different domain and different sector. And somewhere down the line, passion is what gets compromised. Like a lot of engineers come into core with passion. They
yeah,
they choose it out of passion. Like this is what I've seen somewhere. Like for most of the elder students, it would be like I
yeah,
watched the Terminator is something that inspired me. I watched Transformers. I want to do something of that sort.
yeah,
But then eventually down the line, passion is what gets compromised. Now,
yeah,
taking the conversation to a lighter note, uh, like you've explained what Taurus does, how Taurus has been able to move from defense now coming to EV. It is making a great name for itself, is what I can feel listening to you. Like listening, like you starting as an intern, now being a full-time employee. Now, the passion that you have for the company or the on the business, like that, now adding more to it, the founders might be so much more passionate listening to it. Could you share how can someone know or get to join Taurus as an intern, as an employee,
yeah, yeah.
and what do you guys work with
So
at Taurus?
yeah, yeah. So Yeah, the year back, like we were totally into defense. Like we had a project of load carrying vehicle,
Mhm.
and like mostly I've working in the electronics domain. So the controllers, the what do you say, wireless, what do you say, the communication, whatever we did, and all the motor control, power electronic stuff, I had a hands on. And like moving to that to a EV, not completely. We have moved into like we pivoted into EV. Right now, my domain is still the robotics controllers for the robotics market, like making our motors compatible with robotics controller and giving to the robotic clients. So yeah, I would say like Taurus always encourages your what do you say, thoughts and like innovations, what you want to do, and like how it gonna benefit the company as well as how it gonna benefit like the clients. The main thing is like you should know what you're solving. Like, is it a necessity or a luxury? Like which you're going to what do you say, making a solution of. So we like so during my past 1 year, like I met many robotic clients, and they like told the need of making a controller for them, like the UGVs and the AGVs. The motor controller is not that great, and like they were looking for a good what to say, precise motion control, as well as whatever the thing they're getting in market is like too costly, and like they're looking for something like what to say, both like manufacturable like in a large level as
Mhm.
well as which cut
Cheaper.
down their cost. Yeah.
Yes.
So, like I never like studied power. I mean, like I did study like power electronics a bit in college, but
Yeah.
I never actually researched about it as much as I'm doing right now.
Mhm.
So this job, like the past 1 year, like down the lane, this project, like mostly I and my colleague are working on it, and like the knowledge whatever we gain and the help which we got from the open source communities, it's immensible. Like I would never imagine like if I go straight away to a master's, I would get this much hands-on experience. No, I don't think like it's possible. Like because we like uh, as like I came in the initial stage of the startup, we mostly built the electronics lab. We built all the equipments what needed, and like
Require. Yeah.
that's where like I did most of my PCBs initially. Like before, it used to be just a breadboard soldering and all, but actual PCBs like industry grade, in having them what to say, the passing the compliances and everything. Like that's like making a product. How would you make a
Agree.
product?
Agree.
So that's what like I'm learning in Taurus. And
Mhm.
yeah, anyone is like with a good passion and knowledge, like they are welcome to Taurus. Uh, yeah, pretty much that's it. And down the line, like Taurus, it's going to be a what to say, multi-tech domain company. I would say it's not limited to only EV or defense or like we are mostly a deep tech startup, so we're not just constrained with one domain.
Like
Yeah,
there are multiple streams that require this technology, which is coming down the line. Now, more
yeah,
and more industry, now we're at industry 4.0, we to go down. It's all terminology, but at the end of the day, we just want advancement in our technology,
yeah,
making our job easier, making uh, like it's not just about a single person. It is more when you come down to and talk about it. Technology is used in far advanced pace that we would never have imagined, and
yeah,
very little people know that this technology is already developed. Like even coming down to smaller and smaller cities, they have been using this, but we never know. We're sitting in cities. We don't even know that the level of
yeah.
technology that farmers are using just beside outside our outskirts. So that is how India is developing, and I'm really proud of our country being able to produce some great engineers, and especially listening about Taurus. I never heard about it. Just after speaking with you for the first time, I did get to know about it, and now listening to you, it is making me more and more ambitious to look forward towards this domain.
Mhm.
Apart like now you also explained that you've been visiting a lot of electronic expos. ROS events. So, what do you think are a couple of more startups or businesses that are coming in the field of coming in this core field
Yeah,
that people should remember? Like it's not just the IT fields who are doing it. There are some really
yeah,
great companies coming in the coming years.
yeah. There are like what I say, very good companies. Like there are some robotics clients for our company. I don't want to reveal their names, but
Mhm.
there are like what to say. You can just go to LinkedIn and like see robotics engineering, and like you can have like 15 to 20 companies who are working in Bangalore and like Chennai. So yeah, like there are like a handful of companies right now which are doing absolutely very very good, and one of them is like Rigbital Labs right now. Like, you might have
Yes,
heard of it.
yes, yes.
So Pranshu Tople, like he's doing a really good job right now. Initially, I thought like, okay, even they are teaching ROS and like, okay, it might be a service company, but what are the advancements they had uh, from past 1 year? It's like really good and like inspiring and like actually, I missed the ROSCON 2023. I would have met him like that day. Uh,
I have heard
so
about Rig Petal Lab. I got to know about it during my engineering college days. Uh,
okay.
I always felt it was more of net tech solution, but they did it offline. They had online as well, and
Yeah,
I never eventually joined them. But
yeah, yeah.
I have been following them. They are the ones who conduct ROSCON
The ROSCONs.
every
Yeah.
year. And now looking at how the transformation is happening in the field of entrepreneurship, like
Yeah.
I do invest a lot of my time in entrepreneurship rather than the core field now. But but that is how the situation has turned up for me. But as I'm seeing it, they've been able to productize and standardize a lot of robotic niches, and it is something that people should be looking up for. They are always open for opportunities as well. But yeah, it is for them, for companies like these Taurus. In fact, I feel it comes down to your zeal to learn more, your zeal to explore. Like you just can't be limited that, oh my god, I have learned a lot, this is too much for me. This is
Yeah.
you just can't stop there. You have to keep on exploring and stuff. And you were saying a little bit more on the companies, yeah.
Yeah. So like there are very good, great companies, I would say. All you need to know like is like you can talk to the employees or like just ping like in LinkedIn, like just get to know about the company, what you're doing, and like I had this previous experience, like anything you have any requirement like of making this project or something, like I'll be happy to help. So you can just connect with them. Like you, or the most difficult part I would say is also the networking, because not many people like know like how to network and like how to what to say pitch themselves. I would say the one good thing like I learned from Taurus is like how to network and like uh, it's not just like networking, but rather what value you're gonna add with the networking. So like why should someone invest their time and like what do you say talk to you until unless you are actually worthy of like talking. So so you have to be like really good in what you're doing, and like not just with the projects or the research, as well as what you want to solve. Like there is a problem, there are like 10 different solutions. What is your way of solution and how it can benefit the company, or like how it can benefit you? So that's yeah, again the productization is like the thing
Yes,
which companies look at. And like you I mean like if you want to get into tech, I mean like the robotics in the this field, I would say like it's never ending. Like you should never
true,
stop,
true, true.
because the now the ROS2, even the DDS, they're telling the DDS is not that great, and like they're moving to another backframe technology. So
Mhm.
nothing is like stable right now, I would
Stable,
say.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
there
So
is no
everything is
stop
like
for it. Yeah, there is no one
yeah,
stop solution. there is always some or the other innovation coming now where it accepting something that might change just in a couple of months, or it might
Yeah.
even
So
take a
it's
couple of years. Yeah.
yeah. So
Like,
like
do you?
just
Yeah,
learning a tool, or I would say like just learning Rust or Python or C++, not
it's
gonna
just not
help
enough.
you
Yeah,
anyway. Like with that, what did you create, or like what is the solution you made out of it? So that is what matters. And like if you are having this dilemma in engineering that "Hey, I'm from electronics and like
true, true.
but my actual passion is in software, and like
Mhm.
I just want to do a transition to CS and like want to have more inclined, then you're happy to start. You're happy to leave everything and like go into software and like get a good placement and like move on. But for those people who want to be in what do you say this domain, or like want to go into a niche fields, there is no stopping and no one is going to actually help you or like guide you. It's
True.
you who have to approach them
Yeah,
asking like, hey, please teach me, or like please guide me like how to go. So yeah, don't follow like the regular standards, like uh what I would say, like getting a job and like what do you say, placements is everything, because I never sat for placement. I mean like even like my initial like thought is like taking a 6 months break and moving to the US. But later like this job like came in the midway, and like even during the joining time I told them like I'll be working for next 6 months and like later I want to pursue. But later I extended from my end, like saying like, hey, there is a scope here.
okay.
So even like I'm not sure like whether I might continue, or like what to say, or I will be continuing for next few years. I'm still not sure.
Yeah,
So
like,
uh, yeah,
yeah, the domain is so flexible that
yeah,
eventually we also kind of become as flexible as it. But
yeah.
I did observe one thing is that most of our robotics domain ends up somewhere down the line being in the southern part, basically more part towards Hyderabad, Chennai, and
Mhm.
Bangalore, to be
Yeah,
very specific. Like, I got a chance to interact with the founder of Articulus Surgical, which is
articulated robotics.
no, no. The company is called Articulus Surgical.
Okay,
It is a company based in Bangalore. They're building autonomous medic operation robots for the medical purpose.
okay, okay.
So no doctor required. Automatically the machine does it, and it's a great initiative. And what they've been doing, the research, the R&D that they've been doing is very
Yeah,
intense, and founder and the mentors come in from IITs and stuff. They've been getting a lot of focus. So what from my perspective is that more towards the edtech domain is focused towards northern end of the India. Like there are STEM institutions, like a lot of STEM institutions coming up in this field, targeting schools, targeting younger audience. That these are the multiple opportunities that you can explore in this field. And when it comes down to really coming down to hands-on, most companies have, like, I feel location is very important.
yeah,
Where you
yeah,
are,
definitely. Yeah,
where it is at most important that you should know you're at the right place at the right time. So somewhere down the line where the hub is, that is where people are,
yeah,
that is where people should focus on, instead of trying to, like, say, from my case, you're trying to look for something from your hometown. Now that was the
yeah.
thinking for the last back 10 years back, but now
Yeah,
it is more
and
important.
in robotics domain, you can't have work from home also. You
Yeah,
should
true,
work on site.
true.
So
True, true. You need to be hands-on somewhere or down the line. There needs to come like, if you're looking for success, there needs to come compromise somewhere down the
yeah,
line. And it is at most important that you ask the right questions at the right time to the right people.
yeah,
Because if you don't follow these three things, right questions, right people, right time, you
yeah,
won't end up with the right mentors who is going to
yeah,
help you eventually down the future.
yeah,
So Ganesh, now, like, summing it all up, first of all, I'm very happy to have this conversation with you. This was way better than expected. I hope that it was. I always hope that all the conversations that I have in this series are going to be very informational for me. But was this was way more way more than what I expected. And summing it all up for our viewers, is there a one-line suggestion or a one-line inspirational quote that you want to share for everyone that they should be following? Something down the line that people should remember this, like a key takeaway.
It's like don't stop learning. That's it.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
is the perfect one that I can really expect, because that is what we're trying to solve with this series, and quantum robotics is trying to solve. We are a very small startup in that format, if you really ask me. We work in setting up robotic laboratories with ATLs. We're incubated with ACICs in the country. We come from, like, we are Southern Indians, but our education was in the northern part, so we ended up in the same domain. Like I told you, we ended up in this STEM domain somewhere down the line. But we are trying to move towards tech somehow or the other, making our small steps, taking baby steps towards it. And I feel don't stop learning is something that all, even if you're from any domain, if you're an employee, if you're not an
yeah,
employee, as an individual, you should never stop learning. I follow this certain quote from my father, which he, always told me that you kind of have to be smarter than you were in the morning. You have to
yeah,
be smarter than you were in the
yeah,
morning. That's something I follow. So thank you first of all, and summing it up. Thank you, Ganesh, for taking your time today
yeah,
and really sharing your journey with us. This is something that I will be treasuring for my life, because every conversation that I have, we started off with my couple of my friends, and now I've been randomly, for like identifying people who are in this field, and each conversation is something very close to my heart. And I'm really treasuring this conversation that I got to have with you, and I'm really looking forward to, inviting you anytime in the future as well, to really extend this conversation, keep it going. And
yeah, sure.
thank you for taking your time from me, from our team, and we are really,
Yeah,
grateful for all from
yeah.
all of
Thanks,
our viewers
Balaji,
too.
and like thanks for the invite as well.
Yeah.
Like I just wanted to like share like to the people like uh it's like not just securing a job in IT field or anything. It's like
Mhm.
following your passion. Like ultimately, like because down the line after 5 years or 6 years, like when you look at your career or like seeing like what have you solved or like what did you do like out of engineering or what did you do out of passion, like there should be something like you can say proudly. So
See,
always follow your passion, like not today but someday it's gonna fetch you for sure.
great, great. Thank you, Ganesh. And
Yeah,
that's wrap, guys. We wish to see
yeah,
you coming up in more of these series. And we again thank all our guests for taking their time. And we thank all our viewers and listeners to, really keep the game pushing, and always think out of the box and push your comfort zones. Thank you again. And that's wrap.